Welcome to my attempt at a Pulp cover remake. Because I suspect that some may only know of Pulp in relation to a popular film from the 1990s, the term actually applied to multiple genres, not just crime fiction, but adventure, romance, horror, sci-fi, and others. Later on, I'll talk a little more about this particular cover. For now, let me catch up with what's going on here. I had already lined my pencil sketch with a Pigma Micron pen and erased the graphite, making it ready for tape down. The paper is a 10 by 14 inch sheet of 140-pound Arches cold press. My drawer of watercolors makes an appearance here. It's organized by color groupings. Yellows, oranges, and browns on the far left. Reds and pinks get their own section. The neutrally grays, such as panes, are in the narrow center. Then it's the blues with purples keeping them company. And greens take the last space on the right. Yeah, this is basically setting up, but it might be of interest to some people. I mean, I'm often curious about how other artists prepare for projects. Since I ended up using about 8 colors, I should have used my flower dishes instead. But I didn't know that then, and I really wanted to use those pretty stacking dishes. And finally, Eileen Valikovic gets to see how my stash of swatch cards are stored in this repurposed tea container with room for expansion. I hope you are well and watching, Eileen. Some of you may be wondering, do I really want to commit to a 50-minute video? But try thinking of this as the slow cooker of art videos. Just set it and forget it. The benefit for you is some pleasant background chatter while making a list of how you're going to spend your economic impact payment. The benefit for me is more watch hours. And I totally just said the quiet part out loud.
The strange Italian song. Are you strange too? The word is strange. Are you strange too? The word is strange. The strange Italian song.
A 1.5-inch modeler brush made quick work of the background. This project spanned several days, and there was a lot of downtime for drying. I hadn't thought of this before, but we watercolorists spend a lot of time literally watching paint dry. While I have curtains, they don't block everything, so you may notice some lighting changes here and there. I tried to correct it in post, but if I were actually good at it, I'd be working in Hollywood, not asking for likes on YouTube. Why did I choose this image? I grew up admiring illustrative and comic art, so I guess that's one reason why this appeals to me. Also, I hadn't done a big project in a while and was itching to sink my teeth into something a bit more involved than swatchings, unboxings, and product impressions. Actually, swatchings, unboxings, and product impressions are probably my favorite things to watch on YouTube, but it doesn't satisfy the creative urges. Plus, I'll let you in on a little secret. Some members of my family prefer the painting projects over the other content, and I feel a need to throw them a bone now and then. Never mind that it's the SU and PI videos that get the most views. This was the art for the March 1951 issue of Planet Stories. I don't possess that item. I haven't read the inside and have no idea what the story that's depicted is about. I just always loved the original painting by Alan Anderson. When it comes to fiction, I'm more of a mystery or weird tales kind of gal, and I even own a secondhand hardcover volume of some of those stories. There is a Weird Tales piece from the 1952 issue by Virgil Finlay that I wanted to paint, but I couldn't quite see my efforts on that one ending well, so this was my second choice. Hey, and I expect I'm not the only one here, but I'm not always up to the challenge. Perhaps some other time. This was pretty much straight azo green for this layer of the outfit. Yeah, I went heavy with the yellows. I'd settled on that scheme early on. I knew I wanted azo green to play a part. From there, quinacridone gold seemed like a good choice for much of the underpainting and first layers. For this layer, I used a combination of Perylene green and Payne's gray. I tried it on my tester sheet even, but I didn't think of how much warmer it was going to look over the quin gold. So much for the slightly more bluish green I was going for.
I like that rock and roll music, and I like to dance the cha-cha-cha. I got the mambo fever, and I like to sing-a-ling. I like that rock and roll music, and I like to dance the cha-cha-cha. I like that rock and roll music, and I like to dance the cha-cha-cha. I like that rock and roll music, and I like to dance the cha-cha-cha. I got the mambo fever, and I like to sing-a-ling. I like the rock and roll music, and I like to dance the cha-cha-cha. I like the rock and roll music, and I like to dance the cha-cha-cha. I like the rock and roll music, and I like to dance the cha-cha-cha. I got the mambo fever, and I like to sing-a-ling. I like the rock and roll music, and
I forgot to create highlights by lifting the paint while it was still wet, so yeah, cotton swabs. They are 100% pure cotton Q-tips, but still, I tried to not work it too much, since I didn't want to damage the paper. And yes, I felt both ridiculous and amused while going at her boobs like that. But this azo green is staining, and judging from how much pressure I used, I'm not sure a brush would have hacked it. I'm sorta curious about how much the artists were paid for these cover pieces. I don't imagine it was very much. The whole thing about the pulps was that they were cheap entertainment churned out in high volume. Considering these magazines were pennies per issue, I expect the writers and artists had to produce frequently on a quick schedule just to make it worthwhile. Huh, sorta like YouTubers.
Voilà que la Cobra de Johnson prend l'échappatoire. Une Alfa Romeo est sortie de la route. C'est Bruce McLaren qui est en tête, devant Chris Amon et Bob Bondurant. des colis, il tente de reprendre la piste. Non, il n'y parvient pas. Il est ensablé. Le premier tour se termine et Bruce McLaren est toujours en tête sur la porte 7 litres, mais Surtees est troisième. Gosselin, très applaudi, s'arrête à son stand pour ravitailler comme vient de le faire son rival. Qu'est-ce que tu as cassé, Lorraine?
Le disque de frein.
Ah, le disque de frein comme les autres voitures.
Oui, tous les deux.
Il y en a pour une bonne demi-heure. Il y en a pour une demi-heure à réparer.
To me, these next layers were the meat of the painting. Not sure what you'd call it. Mid-level details, I guess. Don't recall how I got that color. Added azo green to the Paraline green and Payne's gray, perhaps. Yeah, I could have just used undersea green. But where's the fun in that? With the way my studio is arranged, I didn't have a great way to view my reference image, so I put it on my phone and propped that up in front of me, because I really needed that to get the shadows and details right. So we're more than 10 minutes in, and it's about time the anniversary part of the title gets addressed. It was in March last year when the first INCWorks video went up, so we've been doing this for an entire year now. In that time, 90 videos have been created, with the most viewed one being a few of my favorite watercolor things. Also, in that time, 380 people have subscribed, and you all get a big thanks from me and producer Mike. This channel would basically be invisible if not for the views, likes, shares, subs, and comments. Those clicks from you are what get us recommended to those who haven't yet found us, and we are very grateful. Speaking of comments, it may seem like a small thing, but they make my day, and I imagine it's the same for most every creator. I'm embarrassed to say it, but before starting this channel, it rarely even occurred to me to comment on someone's video. But whether it's good job, or I have a question, or you really should have done things differently, getting feedback is awesome and much appreciated. One thing I'd like to do this year is visit the Blick Art Materials store in Seattle. Although we are in the greater Seattle area, it's still a 40-minute drive to the city proper. I've never been to a Blick store, and hopefully that happens sooner rather than later, because COVID cabin fever is messing with me big time. And a little retail therapy can do wonders for a gal. I don't think we'll take footage in store, but I hope to pick up a few items, at least enough, for a small haul video.
Exotica. Enter the world of Exotica.
I think I was in danger of overworking the leg area. Thankfully, it all turned out in the end, and, in my opinion, ended up being the best part of the painting. I kinda wish those legs were a little less amazing, because I've been hearing ZZ Top in my head, and I don't like ZZ Top. Normally, I would listen to some music while painting, but I didn't think of it until after I was all ready to start. And I didn't want to delay the project just to choose a playlist for the duration. I've got to be careful, or else I get distracted and go check out what's happening at Alkali Creek Art with Miranda Watson. She's always doing something different or interesting art-wise, until I remember what I was supposed to be doing. Darn you, Miranda.
I'm gonna spend you till my heart will fire. You dance with another guy. Are you ready to see me feeling blue? Sha-la-la-la, whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you the girl I'm spending to? Sha-la-la-la, whoa, whoa, whoa. These are the questions of my full desire. If you let me, I'm gonna die. I know my love is made for you. Sha-la-la-la, whoa, whoa, whoa. You make me think I'm not so true. Sha-la-la-la, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me introduce you to my whole empire. I will take you for all the time.
Don't think I wasn't shaking in my slippers while painting the face. Growing up, I wanted to draw as well as my older siblings, so I copied their drawings and eventually found my own style after they moved away. But paint is a different beast, and watercolors seem uniquely challenging. It's been several years since I got into this medium, and there's still so much I'm not confident about. It's odd, but having this channel, there isn't that much pressure to do things perfectly. And one reason is that I'm not here to be a teacher. I'm just sharing my experiences. And like the saying goes, you can learn as much from failures as you can from successes, even someone else's. One painter I spoke to said, out of every 10 pieces you create, you'll only be happy with one of them, which I thought was not very encouraging, but I get the point she was making. But it was more than one point, I think, because objectively, painting isn't easy and can involve steep learning curves, while subjectively, you're often your own worst critic. In my case, I try to implement a middling standard. That way, I'm less likely to have a hard fall and more likely to be pleasantly surprised.
Del carnaval, 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 es tropical, fundamental, intemporal, existencial, es natural, monumental, del carnaval.
At this point, you might be wondering, what is going on with the hair? In hindsight, I maybe should have done my own thing there, but I was trying to retain at least some of the look in the original. But this bright red was only intended as an underlayer. Later, I toned it down with another color. When I first started watercoloring, it wasn't easy to think in terms of layering. Here, I knew the big letters were going above and behind the head, so the hair needed to be louder than the letters. I might have gone overboard, though. I mean, as you'll see later on, it ends up practically screaming Planet Hair Stories. Hey, that might be a thing, like how convertible hair and cruise hair are things. Perhaps there's a low-gravity effect causing unique versions of planet hair. Yeah, I'm going with that. The inking process can be relaxing, even meditative, and it's something I enjoy. This is Higgins India ink and a size 0 round brush. As I'm sitting here recording this voiceover, the curtains and window are open, letting in sunshine and fresh air, and it feels like winter has finally ended. I even went so far as to crank open the patio umbrella. So no take-backsies now. I'm not a big talker. I usually prefer to let others do the conversational heavy lifting, but I don't want to make a habit of just putting up a video without sufficient info to accompany it. And if the words devolve into awkward navel-gazing, then so be it. Otherwise, it's just my hands pushing paint around, and although better artists can get away with that, when it comes to INCWorks, it's not what I'd call gripping content. This is all a roundabout way of saying don't expect many hour-long videos around here.
Saca el pulpo de la maleta. 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 Que cuando sale nos aprieta.
Just because sci-fi isn't my favorite genre doesn't mean I don't get a kick out of it. In fact, one of my all-time favorite films is Forbidden Planet. I even have a framed poster on my wall. Sure, I'll poke fun at some of the dated aspects, like, you know, the overwhelming white maleness of the entire crew. But my scoffery is from a place of good-humored affection. Doesn't stop me from wanting to get blaster happy on the horndog lieutenant and then toss the commander into the disposal unit for blaming the woman. How about disciplining your subordinate for acting like a predator? Oh, yeah, I guess he kinda did, but if the ship's cook is using the planet's single staff member to hook him up with hooch-palooza, and not the culinary variety, then maybe those United Planet saucers aren't as tightly run as they claim they are. Well, that turned ranty. See, that's what happens when you watch a movie way too many times. By the way, don't watch Forbidden Planet unless you have a high theremin tolerance level. You know, the theremin, that early electronic musical instrument that reached its pop cultural peak in 1966 with the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations, which didn't actually use a theremin, but rather a similar sounding instrument. That doesn't surprise me, since real theremins not only sound super weird, but look like a bitch to learn, too. I also grew up with weeknight reruns of the original Star Trek series. Then, of course, there were the films and follow-up series, which I sporadically followed as a casual viewer. Unfortunately, by the time Voyager came around, I was trekked out. I say unfortunately because I liked Captain Janeway, and I loved her hair.
Nous commençons par l'étude du pas de base, le va-et-vient. Le va-et-vient. Le va-et-vient.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Apprenons le cha-cha-cha. Apprenons le cha-cha-cha. Apprenons le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. 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 Cha-cha-cha.
Can I belong to the tribe? Can I belong to the tribe? I will prep for every night. Can I belong to the tribe? Can I belong to the tribe? Have I to commit a crime? Hey! Hey! belong to the tribe. Have I to commit a crime? Have I to commit a crime? Hey! Hey! Yes, you are, yes, you are, you are ready for Star Wars. Yes, you are, yes, you are, you are ready for Star Wars.
Is it wrong to get a kick out of wild-haired women kicking butt? Personally, I'm not above placating my aggression with imagined violence. Heck, I watched Xena Warrior Princess and played World of Warcraft for years. Better that than knocking people down with my shopping cart in the condiment aisle. And let's not forget that WoW even had a touch of sci-fi with their Draenei from space. It saddens me to think that some people's main exposure to the sci-fi genre may have been the Sci-fi channel. It's SYFY, but I call it Sci-fi because I refuse to call an outfit that airs paranormal, supernatural, horror, and fantasy programming as sci-fi. They are different genres.
The strange Italian song. The strange Italian song. Are you strange too? The word is strange. Are you strange too? The word is strange. The strange Italian song.
I knew this project was going to take longer to complete and edit, so I posted several teasers across my social media pages. It was tempting to break this up into several videos, to milk it for all it was worth, but I think that would just piss people off. I want to enjoy this moment in time while the going's good, because I can see where this is all heading. One of these days, hopefully not for a couple of years yet, I'll become that temperamental YouTuber who says, I am done. No more mixings or unboxings. I'll do the pourings, but that's it. Sure, for the most part, I'm chill around here, but there are reasons why this channel was nearly named The Perturbed Painter.
The strange Italian song. Are you strange too? The word is strange. Are you strange too? The word is strange. Now listen to the melody. Maybe it come from Italy, and I can sing like Buddy Nelly. I think it's plain to see. Some people say that the greatest is the Italian melodies. O sole mio guaglione, una caprese carrozzone. Do you believe in Napoli? Lui prima Celentano, king of rock Italiano. Do you believe in Italy? Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Exotica.
I'd had an inner debate over the text elements. I didn't care for the original's plain rectangle, so I changed things up. Looking at this now, I wish I'd thought to use a grayish watercolor rather than black ink for the letters. I think it would have looked a lot better that way. Lettering can be tricky. There are so many ways to go about it. But since I don't have a large repertoire, I went with a basic blocky style for Planet and a simple script for stories. The price would have been a neat touch, but the magazine in the reference image had a damaged corner, the one where the price would have been placed. I could have guessed something like 35 cents maybe, but despite the changes that I was perfectly fine with, slapping on an inaccurate price would have felt wrong. But I just couldn't deal with that little bit of research because reasons. I do kind of wish I'd painted 35 cents just so that someone could come along and say, actually, that particular issue was 25 cents. I love comments like those because it means people are paying attention.
Exotica.
I'm happy to share this Pulp cover remake. It's not for everyone, but with how I've been feeling, it was either this or Barbarella with her space rifle. Barbarella was one of those forbidden movies you had to sneak watch as a kid, then have a fit of giggles when you saw a nipple. That's right, it was more risque than melee. But the version in my head has our heroine grinding her enemies into the dirt with her shiny silver boots. There's one thing I want to emphasize, and that's the amount of layering on this project paid off. The hair I would do differently, but I'm pleased with most everything else, especially those legs. Until next time, maintain a pleasant attitude at all times, unless you're close to the edge. Then work it out on your YouTube channel before someone gets hurt. And stay artsy, my friends.